When you hear the word Target, you probably picture a clean, stylish department store with a Starbucks near the entrance and aisles full of affordable designer collabs, homewares, and beauty products. That's the American Target. But in Australia, it's a different story. Target stores here feel more like a mashup of Kmart and Big W, and over the past decade, they've been shrinking, not growing. Stores are closing, shelves are thinning, and its presence is fading from shopping centers across the country. Despite the identical name and logo, Target Australia and Target US are not the same company, not even close. So how did we end up with two Targets that look the same but operate worlds apart? Why has Target Australia struggled to stay relevant while the American version continues to boom? Let's unpack one of the weirdest cases of retail mistaken identity and how Target in Australia quietly became its own entirely different thing. Here's the first twist. Target Australia has no ownership or operational connection to Target US, and yet the branding is almost identical. That iconic red bullseye? Same. The name? Same. But everything else, from store layout to product strategy, is different. So how did that happen? To understand it, we need to rewind to the early 1970s. At that time, there was an Australian retailer operating under the name Lindsay's Target, which had no connection to the American chain. But both companies noticed each other, and to avoid trademark conflict, a licensing deal was struck. Target US gave permission for the Australian company to use the Target name and logo for local operations. Eventually, Lindsay's Target was acquired by Myer Emporium, one of Australia's largest retail conglomerates, and in 2001, Myer, and therefore Target Australia, was sold to Coles Group, which was later acquired by Wesfarmers in 2007. But through all these ownership changes, the licensing arrangement remained intact. Today, Target Australia is owned by Wesfarmers, the same group that runs Kmart Australia, and has no financial or corporate link to Target US beyond that old agreement. That's why you can't use a US Target app here. That's why there's no red card or international shipping. In the eyes of the business world, they're two totally different companies, just with matching uniforms. Despite the confusion, Target Australia was once a serious retail force. In the 80s and 90s, it carved out a niche as a mid-tier department store, more polished than Kmart, but not quite as premium as Myer or David Jones. It was the place to go for decent quality fashion, school supplies, kids' clothing, and homewares, all at reasonable prices. But as the 2000s rolled in, trouble started brewing. While Kmart began reinventing itself, ditching constant discounting in favor of everyday low prices and trendy product design, Target didn't move fast enough. Its pricing wasn't low enough to beat Kmart, its range wasn't stylish enough to compete with Myer, and its branding didn't evolve. For years, it seemed like Target was stuck in limbo, not discount, not luxury, not trendy, and not essential. By the mid-2000s teens, Target was bleeding money. Between 2016 and 2020, it lost over $1 billion. Wesfarmers had a choice: fix it or phase it out. In 2020, the axe fell. Wesfarmers announced plans to close or convert over 160 Target locations, shifting many into Kmart stores, a clear signal that the brand would never return to its former strength. Meanwhile, across the Pacific, Target U.S. was thriving. Known for its sleek stores, minimalist branding, and exclusive designer partnerships, Target U.S. became a retail success story. It leaned hard into affordable chic, offering stylish homewares, fashion collabs with big-name designers, and a curated, Instagram-worthy in-store experience. American shoppers loved it. And crucially, Target US never got stuck in the no-man's land between discount and department store. It created its own category. By contrast, Target Australia simply never built a strong identity. Its store formats varied wildly, its fashion never quite landed, and unlike Kmart, it didn't go all in on aggressive pricing. Another problem? Brand confusion. Ask any Aussie who's traveled to the US and they'll probably tell you the same thing. Why isn't our Target like that Target? The shared branding created false expectations. Some shoppers thought the two were connected and felt let down when they realized they weren't. You go in expecting Starbucks, exclusive fashion lines, and slick displays. Instead, you get a quiet department store that often feels half empty. And Wesfarmers never really made an effort to rebrand or clearly separate the Australian Target. The confusion was never cleared up, and in retail, confused customers don't come back. But it wasn't just branding. The entire retail landscape in Australia changed. Between the rise of Kmart, the emergence of online shopping, and the entry of global players like H&M, Uniqlo, and IKEA, Target found itself squeezed on all sides. Kmart nailed the budget-conscious shopper. H&M brought fast fashion. Big W remained competitive in kidswear and school supplies. Meanwhile, Maya and David Jones still held on to premium customers. Target sat in the middle, and that's a dangerous place to be. No brand loyalty, no niche, and no clear reason to choose it over the alternatives. Faced with ongoing losses, Wesfarmers made a practical decision: merge operations between Kmart and Target. Both brands now share supply chains, warehouses, even design teams, and in many regional towns, Target stores have simply become Kmart stores overnight, with the same staff, same shelves, just a new sign on the door. Today, Target Australia still exists, but it's a smaller, quieter version of its former self. It's focused on a narrower market: families, basics, and mid-tier homewares. It's not dying, but it's definitely no longer competing with the big players in a meaningful way. Some have asked the obvious question: why doesn't Target Australia just rebrand? After all, if the connection to the US Target is confusing people and expectations are constantly being mismatched, wouldn't a fresh name, new logo, and clean slate solve the problem? Well, maybe, but it's not that simple. Rebranding isn't just about changing signs. It's expensive, risky, and time-consuming. You have to replace store signage, marketing, websites, uniforms, loyalty programs, everything. And for a brand that's already struggling financially, spending millions on a new name with no guarantee of success is a hard sell. Plus, Target does still have some brand recognition in Australia. Older generations remember it fondly, and some shoppers still associate it with decent value. Killing that off entirely could backfire. Wesfarmers has instead chosen a more subtle approach: quiet consolidation. They've reduced the number of stores, shifted operations to align with Kmart, and let Target Australia slowly fade into a smaller, more sustainable format. It's not exciting, but it's cost-effective. Still, if the confusion continues and Target fails to stand out in a crowded market, a full rebrand might be the only option left. So what's the future of Target Australia? It's unlikely to disappear entirely, but don't expect to come back either. Wesfarmers clearly sees Kmart as the star player and Target as the quieter sibling that gets to stick around as long as it doesn't cost too much. Meanwhile, Target U.S. is continuing to expand, evolve, and dominate, even launching its own mini Apple stores and testing same-day delivery across multiple states. It's a case of the same name, same look, but two completely different fates. So next time you hear someone say, "I love Target," maybe ask, which one? Because while the bullseye may be the same, the story behind it couldn't be more different. Have you ever walked into a Target in Australia expecting the US experience? Or do you think Wesfarmers should just rebrand it entirely? Let us know in the comments, and if you found this video interesting, give it a like, hit subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay curious.